Tonight on Reporting Scotland, after a crushing defeat at the general election, what next for the SNP? Delegates at their party conference have been urged to move forward and focus on the future. We'll have the latest from their gathering in Edinburgh. Also in tonight's programme, we hear from the former Conservative MP David Duguid, dropped as a candidate in the general election on health grounds and replaced by Douglas Ross. He says he could have won the seat.
So somebody had to come forward, and I guess it might as well have been Douglas.
Do you think they made the wrong call here, the party?
Well, evidently. We lost the seat.
And do you think you would have won it?
I think I would have won it.
There's to be more support for people with health and well-being challenges in the Highlands.
It certainly has a better colour. It's a lot more golden.
Scientists have come up with potatoes that are resistant to a parasite that could devastate vulnerable crops.
Coming up in the sport, we'll have the latest on transfer deadline day, and there's blockbuster games for Rangers in the Europa League, with Hearts facing a trip to Denmark among their Conference League fixtures. And we hear from Airdrie's Reece Clarke, principal dancer with the Royal Ballet. He's back home to perform in 2 special shows. Hello, I'm Sally Magnuson. Welcome to Friday's programme. The SNP's deputy leader has urged party members to move forward and focus relentlessly on Scotland's future and achieving independence. Keith Brown was speaking at the party's conference in Edinburgh after delegates spent the morning examining its general election defeat behind closed doors. From the conference, here's our political correspondent Andrew Kerr.
After years of dazzling wins and the SNP triumphant, the party's hoping to address what went wrong so the flags of victory can be raised once again. In July, there were tears with the party winning just 9 seats. It was 48 seats 5 years ago. A stream of ex-MPs arrived at conference, but the post-mortem was conducted behind closed doors. Members gave their reaction afterwards.
How did you get on in there? How did you find the discussion?
A good discussion, forward-looking, positive. We've been through a tough election, obviously, but members have got energy. They want to get us back on the right track. I feel hopeful, and I think it's set a decent enough tone for the conference to come. But more important than the conference is the time between now and 2026.
There's many questions that need to be answered, but it's about how we re-establish the SNP at the forefront of Scottish politics again, and how we regain the trust of the people who are going to vote for us.
There was nothing there for young folk. No agenda, no dream, no future planning.
Scotland won't become independent until a majority of people support it. So we also need to be trying to convince people of the why, the vision.
With that, the leadership attempted to move the debate on.
It would be remiss of us to pretend that nothing has happened. So we need to take it on the chin, we need to deal with it, but we need to use this as the opportunity, day one, to rebuild and move forward together.
Mr Flynn said the new leader, John Swinney, had nothing to apologise for, with the deputy leader pressing that message home, that they want to move the debate on.
And now, as a party, it's time for us to move forward. I think we would all like more time to discuss those things, but we've got an election and independence to win.
Mr Brown turned his fire on Labour and what the party calls continuing austerity.
The people of Scotland have only just elected a Labour government. It's been in for a matter of 2 months. For the SNP to lay the blame for everything at our door is just simply wrong.
Back at conference, the SNP is now hoping for some forward momentum, but some may question whether they have truly assessed the full scale of their losses. Andrew Kerr, Reporting in Scotland, Edinburgh.
Meanwhile, police are investigating whether a civil servant gave a false statement under oath to the Salmond inquiry 4 years ago. The news emerged at a hearing at the Court of Session in Edinburgh concerning the former First Minister's civil case against the Scottish Government. Our news correspondent Jamie McIver is live in the newsroom. Jamie, it's all quite complicated. What more can you tell us?
Well, Sally, the timing of this hearing will certainly be seen as unfortunate by some within the SNP, as it will serve as a reminder of how Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon fell out so spectacularly, just as the party is trying to put the focus on its future at its conference. Now, the Court of Session hearing today was about Mr Salmond's civil case against the Scottish Government. And to remind you of the background, Mr Salmond has alleged there was a conspiracy amongst senior SNP figures, including Nicola Sturgeon, to imprison him. Ms Sturgeon has strongly denied this. Mr Salmond is seeking significant damages and compensation for loss of earnings that could run to millions of pounds. Now, back in 2020, there was an inquiry at Holyrood by MSPs, and that inquiry was about the handling of sexual harassment complaints made against Mr Salmond. Today, the Court of Session was told that detectives are looking at evidence given to the inquiry in 2020 by James Highland. He was the Scottish Government's head of Cabinet, Parliament and Governance at the time. Mr Salmond's lawyer told the court that the police investigation into Mr Highland is called Operation Broadcroft and is being headed by a senior detective. The lawyer asked for the civil case to be paused while the police investigation is ongoing, and the judge refused that request. BBC Scotland is seeking comment from the Scottish Government and Mr Highland. Police Scotland says it's investigating a complaint in relation to evidence provided to a Scottish Parliament committee. It says these inquiries are ongoing and it's unable to comment further. Alex Salmond, you'll remember, was cleared of all criminal charges at his trial in 2020.
Jamie McIver, thank you very much for that. Staying with politics, it was one of the defining stories of the general election campaign here. The sitting Conservative MP for Banff and Buchan, David Duguid, was deselected for the equivalent new seat of Aberdeenshire North and Moray East on health grounds, despite saying he wanted to stay on. Into his place stepped the leader of the Scottish Tories, Douglas Ross, who then lost that seat to the SNP in one of the Nationalists' few causes for celebration on the night. David Duguid is now recovering. Our political correspondent David Wallace-Lockhart found him rather free of the bitterness many others felt on his behalf.
As an MP in the northeast of Scotland, David Duguid campaigned for a new ambulance in his patch. In April, he found himself inside it as a patient after suffering a spinal stroke.
I was sitting on the edge of my bed, and the paramedics were just checking me out, checking reflexes and stuff. And at the time, they thought, right, OK, we're going to have to take you into Aberdeen. You're going to need to get checked out more fully. Can you stand up? And I was like, I can't stand up.
During a hospital stay, he acquired pneumonia.
At that time, you could have described me as being quite seriously ill. I believe I actually flatlined a couple of times one night, but it wasn't because my heart stopped. It was some kind of nerve somewhere in the back of my neck.
Rehabilitation followed, during which David Duguid was thinking about his re-election campaign. But after a visit from a party official, he was dropped on health grounds.
Putting aside the fact that you've essentially just told me I no longer have a job, put that aside, just in my personal opinion, as a party member, as somebody that just pays attention to politics, this is a bad decision.
Many were shocked when Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross then put himself forward as the candidate. He ultimately lost the seat.
The nominations deadline was that Friday, so somebody had to come forward, and I guess it might as well have been Douglas.
Do you think they made the wrong call here, the party?
Well, evidently. We lost the seat.
And do you think you would have won it?
I think I would have won it.
David Duguid says he was dropped as the party didn't want him to face the stress of a campaign.
But then they just decided to not make me the candidate, basically putting me out of work. So that's not entirely unstressful.
You're remarkably kind of not that bitter about, and I imagine other people might be a lot more bitter about the decisions the party made. What's behind that? Is that your nature?
And I was working specifically in a sales role, which I didn't particularly enjoy. But while I was working on that, in that sales role, I went on this 2-week training course on how to be a salesman. And one of the things I learned was, don't say bad things about people. Don't get upset, bitter and twisted about things that you can't control. My number one focus is on my recovery.
He may come back to politics, but the Paralympics is giving him another career idea.
Well, I'm past the stage of being an athlete in any shape or form. But I don't know, who knows? I might take up archery.
A gold medal will have to wait. For now, his focus is recovery. David Wallace-Lockhart reporting Scotland.
At a time when cuts to services are never far from the headlines, here's the story of a service expanding. Support is being offered to people facing health and wellbeing challenges in the Highlands. The Community Link Worker Scheme aims to help people struggling with social issues like isolation or housing problems. The service will now be made available in more than 60 GP surgeries. Ian McInnes has more.
For Michelle, this is her sanctuary. Collecting sea glass washed ashore on the tide. But facing struggles in her personal life, she reached out for help.
I was very, very low. I just didn't see the point of being here because nothing was getting done. Nothing was getting done. I couldn't motivate myself to do anything.
Michelle was referred by her GP to what's known as a community link worker, who turned out to be a listening ear and a guiding hand.
I just felt like I'm not on my own, I've got someone that can help me with this, that can help me to see which things are more important, where to start. So start at the more important things, the other things can wait. That kind of things that she's installed in me made me realise, I can manage.
Oh, hi, it's Lucy, the community link worker. Yeah, I was just ringing.
Lucy was able to help Michelle and others in addressing their social issues.
And we'll get you referred to the welfare support team.
These can be things like isolation, housing issues, or money trouble.
Often people, they're at home, they are struggling, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, but you give them hope. This is available, you can go. And you don't have to do this all by yourself. There are people who will help you and options available to you.
Here in the Highlands, the network of community link workers is to more than double in size, with 60 GP surgeries to offer the service. But it's not the same picture everywhere.
Unfortunately, across Scotland, it's still a postcode lottery about whether you can have access to a community link worker or not. So in some places, you absolutely can, and in other places, the funding for community link workers hasn't been prioritised. Community link workers are early intervention, prevention support. They stop people getting to crisis. They stop people needing incredibly expensive NHS support.
It's clearly a process that's worked for Michelle. The hope is the expansion will offer support to others.
There is help out there. It's just a phone call to your doctor, ask to be referred. These people are ready and waiting to help, and they're the most incredible people.
Ian McInnes reporting Scotland in Invergordon.
Scientists have made a breakthrough which could save the Scottish tatty industry from collapse. They've identified varieties that are both palatable to consumers and resistant to a pest that's spreading across the country. Seed potatoes are worth £4.5 billion to Scotland's economy. But these things, look at them, potato cyst nematodes as they're called, have been predicted to wipe out the sector by the middle of the century unless they're brought under control. Our environment correspondent Kevin Keane reports.
This field is infected with PCN, potato cyst nematodes. It means the farmer can't grow valuable seed potatoes because of the risk of spreading the pest when they're replanted in a new field. But some of the varieties being grown here are clear.
And again, we have no nematodes on the roots of the resistant variety.
And that's good news. Each of these tiny cysts is the dead body of the female nematode containing hundreds of eggs. They attach themselves to the root of the plant and can destroy entire crops. Are these varieties that are in the ground here going to save Scotland's seed potato industry?
So they have every possibility to save the industry, yes. They having resistance and resistance to both species of the potato cyst nematodes that we see in Scotland and the UK, they'll be able to keep those numbers reduced in the soil. This means that seed could be returned to these lands when PCN aren't detectable in the soil anymore.
One of the key tests of these trials is to see whether the tatties themselves will pass as what are called table potatoes, essentially the sort that you might pick up in a bag at your local supermarket. And ultimately that's down to whether the consumers are willing to buy them. The humble tatty's trademark versatility means they need to perform well however they're cooked. So the taste test is important.
Amanda is another resistant variety. It is resistant to both types of PCN.
Okay, so this is the ultimate one that we want to pass the taste test, is it?
Yeah.
Crunchy?
I think that's got a better crunch, and it certainly has a better colour. It's a lot more golden.
Researchers have been working with the supermarkets to convince them to stock the more resistant types.
I don't think there's any real taste difference across between resistant varieties and non-resistant varieties.
And how important is that?
So it's pretty much the key for the supermarkets in terms of them taking up that variety.
Because they can lie dormant for so long, ridding infected fields of PCN could take decades. But halting the decline and keeping the industry going is a major win. Kevin Keane reporting, Scotland.
Sport now, and it's transfer deadline day. You know how I like a transfer.
You know how I like to update you with all things transfer deadline day, Sally. Yes, a big day. Plenty of that to come. Thanks very much. Yes, hello there. We'll get to that shortly, but we start tonight with European football, and Rangers will face Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur in this season's Europa League. The draw was made in Monaco this afternoon following the same new revamped format as the Champions League, where teams face 8 different opponents in one league phase consisting of 36 teams. So alongside a trip to Old Trafford, there's also a return to Ibrox for former Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou. Rangers' pot 2 opponents will be Lyon and Olympiacos away. Union Saint-Gilloise and Malmo are the pot 3 opponents. And from pot 4, it's Romanian side Steaua Bucharest coming to Glasgow and a trip to face French outfit Nice. And now to the third tier of European football, the Conference League, where Hearts discovered their opposition in the league phase of the competition. A trip to the Danish capital awaits the Jambos, where they'll play Copenhagen, the side that eliminated Kilmarnock in the playoffs. They'll also face trips to play Cercle Bruges and Dynamo Minsk. Heidenheim, Omonia Nicosia and Moldovan side Petrocub will all come to Tynecastle. Now, let's get to that transfer deadline day, shall we? And the biggest move looks set to be a record-breaking one for Celtic, who are closing in on Belgian midfielder Arne Engels. The 20-year-old is expected to complete a move from Bundesliga side Augsburg before tonight's deadline of 11 o'clock and comes just days after the departure of Matt O'Reilly to Brighton. Well, if the move goes through, it would make Engels Celtic's record signing, exceeding the fee that they spent on Odsonne Edouard in 2018. And it follows on from the signing of Adam Ida less than 3 weeks ago. Sticking with transfers, and it looks like there could be a couple more in at Celtic before the deadline. Sheffield United's defender Austin Trusty looks likely to sign, and there's a bid in for Dundee's Luke McCowan. Hibs are also in for him too. Heading out the door at Parkhead is Mikey Johnston, who has joined West Brom. Elsewhere, some business for Motherwell. Jack Vale has returned on a season-long loan from Blackburn after a spell at Fir Park last season, and Jair Tavares also arrives from Hibs, also on loan there. No incomings yet at Rangers, but Scott Wright has joined Birmingham City, and Todd Cantwell could also be on his way out of Ibrox. You can keep up to speed with all of these moves on deadline day on the BBC Sport website. Now, Sunday sees the first Old Firm match of the season. Celtic play host to Rangers, and once again the game will be played without away fans. Brendan Rodgers' side start as favourites, and they could stretch their lead over their City rivals to 5 points with a win. Victory for Rangers would be their first in the East End of Glasgow for 4 years. Here's our sports news correspondent, Chris McLaughlin.
Tracked by Lawrence. O'Reilly. Now he finds the net!
It's a fixture that's been dominated by one side for a decade. The last time they faced off at Celtic Park, it was the same story. But the build-up is always intense. Everyone wants their say.
The game on Sunday could actually go either way, but you're talking about the bigger picture over a whole season, and Celtic are definitely much stronger than Rangers. I don't think Rangers are strong at all.
Going to Parkhead's as tough as it gets, but if you're going to win the league, these are games you have to turn up in. They will know the importance of this match in the bigger picture, and they will know the importance of this match and what it means to our supporters. They've got to turn up.
They did turn up in 2020, even if the fans couldn't. The COVID season was the last time Rangers won at the home of their rivals. Breaking Celtic's stranglehold on Scottish football is their drive, easier said than done.
Teams can have a good day. You can see a way for Rangers to win this match, and if they attack set pieces, Dessers somehow causes problems up front, blah de blah de blah. But you can see so many other ways Celtic can win the match.
Whoever does win the match claims more than just 3 points. A psychological boost over their rivals at this stage of the season is also at stake. Chris McLaughlin, reporting Scotland.
Cyclist Finn Graham has become the first Scot to medal for the Great Britain team at the Paralympics in Paris, taking silver in the men's C3 3,000 metre individual pursuit. After delivering a world record time in qualifying, he was up against his teammate Jaco van Gas in the gold medal race. And although he started strongly, he was eventually overpowered to take silver in successive games.
Dozens of parents think their children are being failed by private special schools. The BBC's spoken to more than 50 families across the UK who've been voicing their concerns about some of the treatment they've received. Among them are Leah and her mum Samantha from the north of Scotland.
She'd had people at both sides of her holding arms, people holding legs. It was just horrible.
I had like 4 or 5 people on me, face down on the ground, burst all the blood vessels in my face.
And you can see more of Leah's story on the 7 on the BBC Scotland channel. Not the 9, the 7. Now, the last time Royal Ballet star Reece Clarke performed on stage at Airdrie's Town Hall, he was 4 years old. Now, as a principal dancer with the company, he's come back to put on 2 special shows in the hometown, where he got his first dance lessons at a local school. Gillian Sharp went to meet him.
It's so special to be back in my hometown, back to the roots and where it all started for me.
From local dance school to an international star, Reece Clarke is in a reflective mood.
I was quite shy as a child, and dance was a way for me to express myself, without using words.
Speaking to local school pupils today about his career and why ballet could be for anyone.
I don't know if I feel very famous, but this is a really proud moment for me to come back, and proud to be from Airdrie.
Starting at 3 years old, he followed his older brothers into dance alongside football, swimming and other sports. All 4 ended up at the prestigious Royal Ballet School.
People just kind of didn't understand dance in the dance world. I was in all these sporting clubs and teams, and when I explained to them how physical it was, how high I was trying to jump and do all these pirouettes, once I explained that to my friends and colleagues, then they completely understood it. And it's something I'd like to encourage more is in schools and at a young age, starting dance. Left, 2, 3, right, 2, 3, arms up.
And today's session showed just a tiny taste of that.
Not every day, Sunday from Lanarkshire, comes and he's famous. It's quite cool actually.
You can be anything when you're older, just you put your mind to it and you try out hard for it, like he has.
All we're going to do is you're going to lift the right leg up and spin.
Reece now performs all over the world, but tomorrow's show will take him back to where it began. He says he's a bit more nervous than usual, a huge personal moment.
It's really just getting dance into all corners of the world, and for me, all the different corners of the UK, and encouraging it and bringing out the talent, because talent comes from anywhere.
Gillian Sharp, reporting Scotland, Airdrie.
Lovely stuff, and I think the weather might be worth dancing about, yes?
Yes, indeed, Sally. Some lovely sunshine for some tomorrow. For the last day of meteorological summer, the last day of August, finally a bit of warm sunshine for many parts of the country, actually. Thanks very much indeed. A very good evening to you. We had some sunshine around today, but equally we've seen some rather large areas of cloud building up through the afternoon. But, as Sally mentioned, some lovely sunshine on the way tomorrow. In fact, this is the pressure sequence for the weekend. High pressure situated overhead, keeping things largely dry and settled. But this frontal zone will work northwards on Sunday, bringing a cloudier day and the chance of some showers late in the day. before we get there this evening. And the last of today's cloud fizzling away to leave many areas dry, clear and quite cool actually. Temperatures here in towns and cities 6 to 8 Celsius. A few rural spots across the northeast colder than that. So it's a chilly start to the day tomorrow. Some early mist and fog, that'll soon lift, and then it's dry, it's fine, it's bright, it's sunny, and for many, it's warm. By mid-afternoon, we're looking at temperatures across much of the mainland, up to around 19 to 22 Celsius, always warmest in the west and northwest. A little more breeze around the coast and indeed across the Isles, just restricting the temperature a little bit here, but it shouldn't spoil things too much at all. A similar story across parts of the far north in towards Orkney and Shetland. For most, though, it is a fine day. And for those hill walking or climbing, yeah, chilly start first thing, certainly in the glens, but the temperatures will climb and then lots of sunshine around, good visibility, winds coming in from the south-southeast, UV levels moderate, and by mid-afternoon temperatures on the summits reaching around 11 or 12 degrees. And then as we head into the rest of the afternoon into the evening, some late spells of sunshine, still dry, once again clear overnight, so cool in some parts. That takes us to Sunday. And once again, that pressure sequence, you can see that little system there working its way northwards. So it's a cloudier day, certainly across central, southern and eastern parts, but still predominantly dry. So here's the detail for Sunday. After a fine start, the cloud builds through central, southern and eastern Scotland. Best of the sunshine likely across the northwest. More of a breeze around. Temperatures in the northwest in the sunshine 19 or 21 degrees. Elsewhere, mid to high teens. A few showers drifting north across the southern uplands late in the day. Next week, we start meteorological autumn and it's a mixed picture. Certainly on Monday, some heavy rain around at times. Let me show you the pressure sequence for next week. And you can see low pressure nearby, some weather fronts. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, sunny spells and showers. Hopefully some high pressure building in later in the week. But certainly tomorrow for Saturday, it's dry, fine, sunny and for many, warm. That's the forecast for now.
Thanks very much, Chris. Graham Stewart will be here with the late news around 10:30 tonight. But from everyone on the team now, enjoy your evening.